we're going to be setting up a hall reverb on the vocal here, and the aim here is not to make it sound like it's in a hall, but to give some sort of exciting ear candy type of effect. So one thing that I do a lot of, and I do this early, is I mess with the pre-delay to give it more of a time before the reverb kicks in. And this is because you wouldn't get this in a real space so much, but because I'm using it as a kind of ear candy sparkly type of effect, I can really massively put up that pre-delay, and you know, it'll almost sound like a weird slap reverb, and it will keep the intimacy of the lead vocal in place, and it kind of spreads it out in the stereo field and makes it feel wider. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this and mess with the pre-delay time so you can hear it.
You know you lead me on, and I'm ready when you are. Oh, I want to fire up and run, but I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so what you can really hear there is that when the pre-delay time is up a little bit, you end up feeling like it's, you know, a little bit more intimate, but you also kind of, your ear is a little bit more confused to what's going on. I do this and use the higher pre-delay just to separate the direct sound from the kind of sparkly reverb. And now we're going to have to mess with some of the other parameters to kind of smooth it out so that it doesn't feel so obvious. And when I kind of get these settings right and drop it back to a more reasonable level, all of a sudden things should kind of feel like they're gelling in the mix a little bit more. Okay, so the first thing is, I think that 5 seconds is a little bit long, so I'm going to bring that in. And I also think the size is maybe a little bit big, and there's too much high end, and maybe overall everything's just feeling like it's a bit thick and a bit dense.
You know you lead me on, and I'm ready when you are. Oh, I want to fire up and run, but I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so what I was trying to do there was soften it a bit and kind of make it just seem a bit smoother and less in your face and obstructive to the dry vocal, but at the same time have a bit of sparkle about it. So now what I can do is I'm going to drop this all the way down, and I'm going to take the vocal off solo, and I'm going to blend this up until I feel like it's become too much and it's starting to get too audible, and then drop it back down, okay? Because a lot of the time, especially in a rocky track like this, I don't really want the effects to dominate, you know, I want them to fly under the radar, but all of a sudden the vocal kind of seeming bigger and wider than it did before. Okay, so I'm just going to play this again in verse 2 where the arrangement isn't so dense, and again just check that the reverb level works.
Searching for your sweet spot, I lose track of time. You throw me into reverse, you really blow my mind. I'm ready, I'm running, I'm going, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm running, I'm running, I'm coming, I'm running, I'm...
Okay, so that feels quite nice to me. Like when you take the vocal hall out, all of a sudden the vocal just seems to become very, very mono, but also it doesn't sound too wet when you've got it in.